I'm Jessica Ann Bogart for Audio Story Time. Today's story is an odd mix of fan fiction and faux fiction, which is the opposite of fan fiction. The subject of this tug-of-war is Star Wars.
Welcome to
Audio
Story.
May the Force be clobbered!
Hello, I am Rubberdash. And this section of the story carries on with the struggle between wills. On one side there is Anakin and his extreme Star Wars fangirl. On the other is Ocean, who detests Anakin, and anyone else the fangirl causes to idolize him along with herself. The writing styles are different. The fangirl dwells on hints of abuse and always manages to drag the conversation back to the subject of Anakin. Her writing is rather disjointed, like a child's. Ocean fleshes out scenes with details, and she opposes and avoids the subject of Anakin when possible. There are a few times when the Star Wars fangirl wrote Leia, but that character was mostly written by Ocean, who did write one vapid, unoriginal line for Leia that could be mistaken for the Star Wars nut. It was the usual annoying catchphrase, "May the Force be with you." And Ocean even makes mention of Leia not having anything useful to say at that point. The Anakin/Palpatine fangirl also fixates on people being old. This was evident in the first section Callum and Sarah read, and it carries on in this one. She wrote a snide comment from Leia that made fun of Sidious Palpatine's age. Ocean gently rebuked her by saying, "I do not make fun of people's age," or something to that effect. Though the Star Wars nut had very little to do with Leia during roleplay or story, this was not the first time she made Leia sound like a terminally heartless, airheaded dunce. She mostly roleplayed Anakin, Vader and Palpatine by way of voice changes, rarely Leia, but there is one instance that was especially stomach-turning.
Hi, my name is Leia Organa Solo. I am Luke's sister, Anakin's daughter, and the wife of Han Solo. It's very nice to meet you. Now, I have forgiven Anakin for what he has done because
the Star Wars nut
says that even though someone has done something as horrible as the things that he has done, sometimes you must forgive. And for me, that is a very easy thing to do. Because when he returned to the light after killing Palpatine, Alderaan literally came back into existence. And he brought balance to the Force by defeating Palpatine, who swayed him to the dark side in the first place.
Really? He tortured her. He watched while her planet got blown up with all of her family and friends and loved ones on it, and he forced her to watch it, and he was gleefully enjoying it. And she just forgives him, just like that.
The Anakin Vader fangirl's version of Leia told a whopper of a lie to Ocean's friend in this message. Leia's home planet of Alderaan never did get recreated, much less with Leia's loved ones coming back from the dead in the actual series. That only happened in the role playing the Star Wars nut did with Ocean, and it had absolutely nothing to do with Anakin. But the way the fangirl had Leia tell it made it sound as if Vader killing Palpatine was responsible for recreating Alderaan, which had been blown up in the movie. Anakin was not in the roleplay anymore by the time Ocean and the Star Wars nut did the recreating of Leia's planet thing. The fangirl was so desperate to keep Ocean doing Star Wars with her that when Ocean was ready to quit both story writing and roleplay because of Anakin, the fangirl pleaded to keep going even without Anakin. Ocean agreed, but the fangirl still tried to sneak Anakin in, and she kept causing arguments with Ocean, trying to make her like Anakin Vader and give him another chance. So when she had her pathetic version of Leia tell Ocean's friend that planet Alderaan was restored, she did it in a way that made it sound as if Anakin Vader was responsible for it. She also told Ocean that this friend liked Anakin, which prevented Ocean from talking to this friend about the Anakin and fangirl problem until she just couldn't take it anymore. When Ocean and her friend finally did discuss the problem, they both discovered just how sick they were of the cringy Star Wars role-playing, and neither one of them liked Anakin.
Leia is not heartless and she is not dumb. She's not going to just forgive Anakin just because the Star Wars nut wants her to. The Star Wars nut herself does not take faux Leia's advice. She does not forgive people, even if they didn't do anything horrible.
Did you know that he called me a little ADD, hyped up little past dweller, period. He also called me a Voices of Liberty addict, period. He went literally crazy, deleting every single thing that I had sent him. I took the time to literally search on my computer, zip all of those discographies up for him, Journey, Kenny Loggins, Phil Collins, and I can't remember the other one. And I took all the time, Gloria Estefan, Enya. I took all of that time to zip all of those up, Elton John. I took all of that time to zip all of those up for him, and then after I ditch him, he goes and deletes everything. And it just,
You suck!
And she has been sending people after me ever since we broke up over, yes, Star Wars.
What the heck?
Telling her to cut it out, stop spamming Star Wars, and stop acting like an idiot over it, getting tired of her Star Wars, and the other guy that was deleting her media that she had sent him, that is somehow worse than Vader slaughtering a whole bunch of people? Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Loser.
Hindsight is always 20/20. If Ocean knew back at the start of all that story and roleplay nonsense what she knows now about the Star Wars fangirl, she would have run the other way before the story's first section could even get a rewrite. Now this campy, cheesy story gets the treatment it deserves. Because Luke and Leia get into an argument about how fatherly Anakin is, or is not, Elf does have to repeat to Luke what she said to Anakin the day before. The Star Wars nut just kept going around in circles with different characters saying the same things. Luke Skywalker, otherwise known as Puke Sky Wanker, is such a brain-dead yutz in this, because the self-proclaimed Star Wars nut wrote him as a nightmarish combination of a wang-sting, cloying Anakin Vader and his butt-kissing shadow, and condescending, lying, arrogant lackwit all in one, that I simply have to make observations and comments throughout this drivel as I narrate it. Let us commence. Part 4. Blowing it! Blowing it! The next morning, the Ocean Elf had only just dressed when there was a knock at her door. "I'll be right out," she called, and straightened out the bed. She opened the door and broke into a smile of pleased recognition. A man and woman entered. "I'm Luke," he said. "This is my sister, Leia. We are the Skywalker twins." "No, you are simply twins," Elf said. "Actually, my name isn't Skywalker, it's Leia Organa," the girl corrected. "We are the son and daughter of Anakin Skywalker," said Luke. "In a biological sense only," said Elf, frowning. "If you keep on gushing over Anakin Skywalker," she grimaced when uttering his name, "I am going to be sick. You are not mere extensions of that man. Bail Organa is much more father to me than Anakin," said Leia. "But Anakin is our biological father," Luke insisted. "Bail is still her real father," Elf countered. "He adopted her. Your precious Anakin tortured her."
"But that was after," Luke tried again. "No excuses." Elf cut him off. "If you just came here to bother me on his behalf, you can take off again." Ugh, this isn't starting out well. Luke thought to himself. He couldn't even deny what had happened, so tried to shift the conversation to what Elf was here to do. Unfortunately, Anakin had bored his way so far into Luke's mind that even this attempt got messed up. "Anyway, we know that you are here to help him, but—" "No," said the elf firmly. "I am not here to help him. I'm here to help with the downing of a terrible emperor, and I'm not even sure that is possible yet. That it just happens to be Anakin apparently spearheading this effort is most unfortunate," she said, looking as if she was about to be sick. Then she took a deep breath and said in a gentler tone, "No more talk of Anakin Vader. This is about attempting to get rid of Emperor Insidious."
He had apparently cheated death again, and the Star Wars contingent had pressed Ocean Elf into helping them deal with him in some way.
Leia smiled at the elf. Luke decided not to press the Anakin thing further. If there's anything that we can do to help, let us know. If it has something to do with the Emperor, count us in. Anyway, what's up? How can we help? I think we can manage. It is you who should let me know. I will assist you any way I can against his malevolence, Emperor Shiv Palpitations Insidious.
Luke and Leia exchanged looks of surprise and amusement, then burst out laughing. I don't think she likes old Sidious, do you? Luke said to Leia. Now what could possibly give you that idea? Leia kidded back. So they decided to get some breakfast and talk more. They settled in at a dining table to eat and talk. By the way, Elf, Leia said. Nice choice of words for Sidious. You are exactly right. Sidious is old, grubby, and a freak. Oh, that? Elf grinned. I'm afraid if I didn't throw jabs at his ridiculous name and title, my language might get a little salty. She admitted. But I do not make fun of people's age, or let them use that as an excuse for their actions. He is actually crazy, Luke said. Oh, Elf, said Leia. We will assist you in your training. Luke added, you will also be training with Yoda, Ben, and Anakin when he feels up to it. No, I will not, the elf said sharply. Then in a gentler tone she continued, just you two, and Ben and Yoda will do nicely. The elf had no plans to stay long enough for any training, but she didn't get the chance to speak her mind about that because of Luke's one-track mind. We know what is involved in his care. Sometimes we can hear him squealing. Luke continued. Look, I said. Enough, Elf raised her voice. This is about defeating that insidious tyrant for the good of Tatooine. One more mention of Anakin, and I will be on my way back home no matter what happens. Don't make me break my word to Ben and Yoda. I told them I would stay and try to help fight this current threat, but I will not cooperate if you keep going on about Anakin Skywalker, and I do not care that he's your biological father. May the Force be with us all, Leia said. She was probably at a loss for anything useful to say. I hope we can defeat that wicked old screw, Luke said in indignation. He needs to be annihilated. And there it is. Wicked old screw. Anakin has eaten Luke's brain. One more thing. What's he got to be indignant about? That's definitely the wrong word in this instance. Indignant is more like how Ocean felt when Anakin talked down to her the day before. Didn't Anakin already say that Sidious needed to be annihilated? Oh, yes, he did. That poor dog Luke. No doubt about it. He and Anakin are sharing one brain. Oh, boy. This creepy annoyance has not been lost on Ocean either. Elf scowled at Luke. Emulating the speech of that man will send me packing as well. If you want Palpatine ended, for goodness sake, use your own words. Palpatine's coming now, Luke said. Excuse me. The elf didn't believe him. Stay still, Luke said, looking directly at Elf. He's approaching in his wheelchair. There were some other people milling about, but nothing like what Luke just described. Oh, really? The elf looked suspiciously at Luke. A bit coincidental, don't you think? At first, she wanted to see how far he might try to go with this tale. She was not yet certain if Luke was trying to Jedi mind trick her for kicks, or if Anakin Vader had screwed with his mind so much as to cause him to see imaginary Palpatines. Look out! He might try to fool you. Don't let him fool you. He may seem kind, but he's really not, Luke said, as if he was talking to a bunch of young kids at their first training session. Needless to say, that approach did not go over well with Ocean. Elf scowled at Luke and twirled a finger at her temple, but Luke was on a roll and seemed oblivious to the way his words were affecting her. After all, he continued, you are an elf, and you can see straight to someone's nature. This see someone's nature stuff crops up again in the judgment subplot. Elf winced. If you're so sure of that, why are you acting as if I haven't got his nature figured out? Luke, don't insult her intelligence, said Leia. But Luke still wasn't listening. He may be almost 90 years old, but don't let that fool you. I don't care how old he is, Luke. He will answer for his actions if we meet. Ocean Elf hissed. He is extremely powerful, Luke warned. Newsflash, she replied irritably. That's the point of being an emperor. bride. He wasn't warning her, he was condescending to her. I just wish he had a better life, Luke said. Who? Elf asked. I mean him, Luke said. From what I heard, his mother was not very nice to him. In fact, both his mum and his dad, from what I've heard, his sister includes, were downright ill-tempered. Maybe that's why he turned out the way he did. I'm not sure if he's going to reveal his whole life story to us, but in time, he might. Huh? I just don't get this Luke Skywalker. It seems he and everyone else are bound and determined to fill Ocean's head with images of pain and abuse. And for what purpose? Seriously.
What the heck?
The elf became cross again. Look, do you want to help put an end to this, or do you just want to sit around and swap useless stories? Luke sat silently with his mouth open for a moment. Don't you dare start feeling sorry for Palpatine now because of some tear-jerking whopper going around, the elf continued. Luke and Leia exchanged pleased grins and waited a moment before replying. They wanted to gauge the elf's reaction to see if her resolve was really as solid as she said it was. The story was only a test made up by the cunning Luke to see if she would believe it and express any sympathy for Palpatine. Her scalding reaction was a relief, but it was so furious that Luke was not sure if he should say anything else and risk making her explode. Please don't get me wrong, Luke finally said. I don't feel sorry for him or know anything about his childhood. I don't think anyone does. I suppose he could be called cunning. Ocean was being too nice to Luke when she wrote this description. Carrying on. Oh, she actually does call it for what it is here. Then why all this bullcrap? Elf confronted him. I thought better of you than that. But Luke only said, he's been lying to our father for 30-something years. I can see why little Miss I Love Anakin, who needs to live in peace, acted the way she did. She was already doing it to Ocean during this story writing. Always going back to Anakin even when Ocean warned her it would be finito if she kept pushing things. Carrying on. Your father, Luke, not mine, Leia said with a scowl. I can even tell the two siblings are being written by different people. Anakin Fangirl writes Luke, and Ocean writes Leia. Anakin Lover really seemed to have no time or interest in Leia at all. Okay, here we go. Turning crimson with sudden anger. All right, that does it! The elf said abruptly, jumping up out of her chair. I'm off! She hastily tucked her chair in, turned and began hurrying away. Oh, that was brilliant, Leia said, rolling her eyes. You don't have to rub it in, Luke retorted. Then he called after Elf to come back. I'll try to persuade her to give us another chance, but stop screwing it up, will you? Leia said. Then she took after Elf. Luke didn't know how long it took, but eventually he was relieved to hear two women's voices coming closer and closer. And then Leia and Elf came into view. I'm sorry about that, Elf, said Luke as she took her place at the table. And I am glad you will not let him sway you. I told you he cannot. Let's get something straight, Elf said with a scowl at Luke. If you want my help, don't lie to me, and don't put me to the test, she hissed, fixing Luke with an ice-cold stare. Well, Luke turned away for a moment to calm his unease. He soon thought of a way to dissuade the elf's anger. Could you consider this part of the training? He suggested. She looked annoyed. No, I could not, she said sternly. Don't try that again. I do not like being lied to or put through the paces by anyone. I told you Sidious will not influence me. I also told you any sort of reference to Anakin Skywalker spells the end of my cooperation with you. I mean it. Understand? We are sorry, Luke said. The elf heaved an irritated sigh. If Luke thought he could just fix everything and reset her mood from angry to helpful with one little throwaway apology, he had another thing coming. Actually, Luke continued, this is part of your training. Thank you for giving me such late notice, the elf countered icily. So let's have this training go both ways. You learned I don't like being lied to, put to the test without prior knowledge of the nature of the test. And I will not accept the abuse excuse for horrific acts. I do not mix training with mealtimes. I never consented to training in the first place. Neither will I put up with your attempts at Jedi mind tricks. When you tried to tell me that Sidious was here, you lied. I saw no one. And an Emperor doesn't just show up like some average dude at a mess hall like this. So cut the crap. Yes, but be careful. He will try to reach out to you. If he does, you can use something from your world to keep him away, said Luke. I've got that bit covered, Elf said firmly. Are you listening to me at all? But Luke only kept up with the clued-out condescending verbal diarrhea. Although some of your magic may not work in our world, some of it will. Elf turned from annoyed to insulted. It is time you stopped believing in the notion that I was born yesterday, sir, she replied coolly. Her patience was clearly spent. I help run a mission station back on my own world. I am aware different worlds have different properties, she hissed, giving Luke a severe look. Luke, Leia said, she's not a child. Thank you, Leia, said Elf, looking at her. At least someone here doesn't think I'm completely helpless and stupid. Sorry, said Luke. Sorry. Oh, knock it off, Elf snapped. I didn't mean to insult you. I guess I just got carried away, Luke said carelessly. Yes, I guess you did, Elf responded, still clearly put out with him. Luke did not press that subject any further, and the rest of the meal was eaten in an uneasy silence. Whenever Luke looked over at Ocean, she only scowled back at him, or refused to look at him at all. When all were done eating, okay, Luke said. Now, Elf, I'm going to show you how to use a lightsaber. First, you need to learn the basic drills. Man, is this guy a jackass? She's yelled at him, put him in his place, and given him all kinds of non-verbal cues to take a hint and stop acting so arrogant. And he just keeps plodding on in total ignorance of who he's dealing with, because his head is shoved so far up Anakin's posterior. Elf rolled her eyes. No kidding, she said sarcastically. Luke, said Leia reproachfully, giving him a desperate glance. They had left the dining area and were making their way slowly to the training area. This is where the fangirl leaves off, and Ocean fleshes out why Luke was acting so weird, so obnoxious, and just plumb. Awful. Luke looked at Ocean, who shot him a dirty look. Now, Elf, she mocked him out. I am going to show you how to use a lightsaber, and you must start off with the basics. Apparently unable to think much, all he did was the usual. Sorry, he said. Knock off the sorries. Lesson 3, do not condescend to me. Understand? The elf glared full on at Luke. He shuddered, looked away and mumbled, Oh boy, this isn't going to go well. He's only figuring this out now. It hasn't gone well since he first knocked on Ocean's room door that morning. Probably not. Elf agreed. So use your own head instead of assuming I can't use mine. Luke and Leia looked uneasily at each other. Noting this, Elf confronted them about it. What's wrong with you two anyway? Don't treat me like an imbecile or a lab rat, or take up for sadistic people, and I'll give you nothing to worry about. So, Luke cut himself off from making another apology, which also seemed to annoy the elf. It's just some disturbance in the Force. They happen every so often. Elf murmured, looking ever more suspicious. That's it for today. No more training of any kind until you treat me with a heck of a lot more respect. But what about the lightsaber training? Luke protested. He actually looked about to panic. The ocean elf got right in front of him and in his face. Her fists were clenched and raised. She stared at Luke as if she wanted to tear him to pieces. Is there something wrong with your hearing? I said, no. More training. That means whatever you planned with me today is off. I've had all I can stand from you. I'm going back home to try turning this rotten day around and get some rest. And when I come back tomorrow morning, you better not hand me any snows or insulting attitude, or else the whole thing is off. Elf stalked off without another word or glance back at either sibling. Oh no! Luke looked as though he knew he had really blown it. Congratulations, Leia said. You just delayed the whole operation by one whole day. I was just trying to prepare her for... He trailed off. Prepare her for what, Luke? There was an awkward pause, and finally he looked dejectedly at Leia. I don't know. Palpatine, I guess. Were you really trying to prepare her or yourself? What's that supposed to mean? He asked. I mean, who were you trying to convince that Palpatine is a terrible enemy? Elf or yourself? Come on, Leia. I know Palpatine is rotten to the core, Luke retorted. Oh! Leia countered. All this time, it looked more like Elf was more sure of that than you. And she didn't buy your claim that Palpatine was that old man in the wheelchair. She knew you were pulling her leg. It worked on you, though. At least you saw something. Elf said she didn't see anything. Luke, said Leia, you've got to stop doing that. One day you're going to mind trick the wrong person and it'll get you in trouble. Luke looked anxiously at her. What do you think I'm in now? I'll catch it from Ben over Elf's leaving. If we just go to the training area and do lightsabering, maybe he won't notice until dinner. Then we can just tell him Elf got sore at us over the training and left early. Luke, you're not really going to do that. It's worth a try, he said. The siblings moved off toward the training area, arguing the whole time. I don't think this is a good idea, said Leia, but you're just not listening today, so... Yes, I am, Luke retorted. I just wanted to make sure Elf was listening, and that she understands how serious this is. Wow, what a raving twit. If you had been listening, you'd realize she is already dead serious about this mission. I wonder about you, though, said Leia. Are you kidding? Luke looked incredulously at Leia. It was me that kept saying that old screw needs to be annihilated. She said it before you did, Luke. She just didn't call him an old screw. Anyway, all that crap you told her about Palpatine's childhood, that was supposed to be a Jedi mind trick, Luke said. I wanted to see if she'd... Luke paused, trying to think how to say the rest of it. You're right. I shouldn't have done that. The mind trick was his idea. Whose? Ben's? Leia said incredulously. I don't think even he would try it on that elf. No, Dad's. If I could succeed in getting Elf to think Palpatine deserved some sympathy, then the next one I'd try was to get her to start liking my father. Leia frowned. You are supposed to stick to the problem of what to do about the Emperor. Not using Jedi skills you don't have a handle on yet. To run interference on personal matters. And the way you talked to her. Like you were teaching a group of school kids. Well... She is new here, and Dad told me to tell her things he tried to, but she wouldn't listen to him. No, Luke. I think Elf is more prepared than you are, said Leia. I don't understand how she could be. Not if she hasn't used a lightsaber, and she's an elf. What would she know about our problems? That's your problem right there, Luke. You let your father eat your brain so much that you can't even think for yourself anymore. All you seem to care about is lightsabers, X-Wings, and Daddy Anakin, she said resentfully. And you think this woman doesn't know anything just because she's a newcomer and an elf? Until you shape up, you can train on your own! With that, Leia turned on her heels and quickly strode away, back in the direction where they'd come. And that's where this section ends. Ocean wrote a sappy extension of it, where Luke got a gentle scolding from Ben for misuse of the Force. But since the Star Wars fangirl just kept writing Ben as an Anakin suck-up later, and considering how badly things ended between these two women, Ocean deleted the talking to from this section, since it really didn't add anything valuable to the story. Not that this story has much in the way of value except for cringe, and showing what happens when role players and writers just don't mesh. Thanks for listening.